the Pop the Balloon guy has gotten a ton of traction over the last couple of weeks. I've seen videos, I've seen debates, I've seen lives, I've seen arguments, I have seen content creator beefs over this dating show. I mean, it is dominating the internet. And while, I am the first one to say that there's nothing wrong with having a good time, there's nothing wrong with being entertained. I understand people go online to be entertained. Nothing wrong with that. Meanwhile, while all of the focus or majority of the focus is going towards this dating show, you have cases of Black young kids who are being slaved today in Black America. And no one's really talking about it.
2 people are behind bars facing felony charges after 2 children were found locked up inside of a barn and another was near the edge of an unprotected loft in the home. 13 News reporter Rachel Pellegrino joins us live from the scene in Sissonville. Rachel, the investigation into this incident was launched last night. What can you tell us so far?
Well, Andy, deputies responded to the scene that's just a few houses up the holler behind me on Cheyenne Lane last night after they got a 911 call around 5:45 concerning the welfare of these children. And that caller told officials that they had been locked up for days in a barn and were made to do farm work and weren't allowed inside the home. And now just in the last few hours, the adopted parents of these children, Jean Whitefeather and Donald Lance, appeared in Kanawha County Court on charges of gross child neglect, creating a substantial risk of injury. And according to court records, deputies arrived at their home on Monday and they had to force entry into the barn. And inside they found a 14-year-old boy and 16-year-old girl, both deprived of food and hygiene care without running water or bathroom. Another child about 6 years old was found inside the home on an unprotected loft about 15 feet off of the ground. And Child Protective Services were called and now have custody of all 3 children. And both Lance and Whitefeather were not home at the time that deputies arrived on Monday. However, they were later arrested and are now being held at South Central Regional Jail.
Very disturbing. It actually speaks to a larger issue and problem and trend that is happening in America and in Black America today. One that is not getting media attention, one that is likely not going to go viral, one that is not going to get a lot of people's interest, but one that is impacting the Black community daily, moment by moment. And that is trafficking. Now, the reason I started off this whole conversation by mentioning the Pop the Balloon guy is because I want you guys to understand that a lot of these stories that go viral, that continue to get our attention, that continue to get us, bickering, arguing in our feelings, have no impact on our day-to-day life. 0 to no impact. None. I wish the best for everyone involved in Pop the Balloon, right? I hope whatever is just and whatever is fair happens. That is my hope and prayer. Outside of that, I am not impacted by anything that happened in that episode. But meanwhile, there are things that are actually impacting communities, as in the Black community, every single day that are going unaddressed and that oftentimes are going undernoticed because the focus and the emphasis is going on these things that have no meaning. And to be clear, a lot of this, in my opinion, I think is on purpose. The powers that be, the media or whatever the powers that be, they don't want you talking about things that actually have meaning and value because that could actually pose a threat, right? They don't want you actually thinking and they don't want you actually going and saying, hey, why is this happening to our community? Because then you might actually start to move in such a way that would force people who are doing bad things to change. And let it be clear, when you're talking about trafficking, when you're talking about all these different industries, oftentimes you have people in positions of power who are in agreement with it. Not everybody, right? Not every politician, not every leader. There's obviously those who are against it, but there are usually, all it takes is a handful of people in systems, in high places to be in agreement with these things. And so oftentimes you have people in media, you have people in really high places who have the power to promote certain messages, who have the power to promote certain things. And they use these things to get you distracted from things that actually really matter and that are actually impacting your life, the life of your kids, the life of your community. That is Black kids who are regularly being abused in the foster care system, regularly being misused in these systems. That is Black girls who are regularly getting caught up in human trafficking. And again, these kids are the most vulnerable. Black kids are the most vulnerable because those who have socioeconomic struggles, those who come from single parent households, who struggle with poverty, mental issues, drugs, all things that disproportionately affect the Black community, then those kids are going to be the most at risk. But instead of that getting a lot of the attention and getting a lot of the insight and getting the same passion, people go online and they argue over the pop the balloon guy. And I get it. Sometimes you just want to go online and be entertained. If life sucks or if life is horrible or really traumatizing, you want to go online and you want to have a place to space out. I get it. But I'm just saying it's important to recognize that while every single week there's going to be a news story going viral that has little to no meaning in your life, there are actually things happening every single day that are impacting our lives, the lives of our kids, community, whatever, that are not getting the traction and are not getting the same, they just simply aren't getting the same support. And so I wanted to bring this up because I found it so interesting that the same week that the pop the balloon guy is going viral, we have a case of Black kids who are literally being enslaved, modern day slavery. And we see which one is getting more traction. The pop the balloon guy is getting a ton more traction. Black kids could just be enslaved in West Virginia. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Even the thought of them being, it's like, whatever. Because I'm like, God forbid these are white couples who enslaved, God forbid, 5 Chinese children, right? Or 5 Jewish children. Do you think that the emphasis would be on 2 people in the community who can't get along? Or would there be community outrage? Would there be community outrage? I tend to think if it was perhaps coming from another community, there would be more community outrage and the focus wouldn't be on what's happening at a random dating show. Not saying that there's anything wrong with talking about a dating show. I understand it gets views, it's funny, it's entertaining, whatever. But I'm saying this because I'm just thinking about the focus and then thinking about the things that actually matter. And so these are the kinds of situations that happen under our nose all across all the time. The distractions. Media here is to distract you. Half the time social media is here to distract you. Half the time the things you see online, television are here to distract you. Usually distract you from more important, substantial things that are actually going on, whether it be in your life or the life of your community. So this may not be the most exciting topic and it may not be the most fun topic, but I wanted to mention it because this is going on. And the only people who have the power to change this is really us, those who care about it, those who are of the community. So that's all I wanted to say. Nothing wrong with having fun. Nothing wrong with sometimes just being entertained and listening to silly things. Nothing wrong with it. But I think it's also really important to, when you see constant distraction and when you see constant things that are just inciting people to bicker and argue, to take a step back and say, wait, what's really going on? And what's not being talked about that really deserves my focus? Those are my thoughts. Anyways, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. If you have questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.